Good evening and welcome to the Facilities Master Plan Community Webinar. My name is Darren Hawk and I've been the facilitator of the Facilities Master Plan Committee along with Rob Schwartz from RSP and Associates, who will meet in a few minutes. We are excited about the opportunity tonight to share with you the work of the committee and to answer questions that you may have about the committee's work. During the 2021-2022 school year, our district partnered with the community in the development of a new strategic plan. That plan includes a mission statement that drives all of our work. The Ankeny Community School District engages all students in an educational experience that equips them with the skills to flourish in and contribute to an ever-changing world. One of the outcomes of the strategic plan was to create a facilities master plan structured to maximize community participation, grounded in district data, research, and best practices, and ensure that current and future facilities meet the needs of our students and the community. The new Facilities Master Plan will provide an incredible opportunity for Ankeny Community Schools to build on its tradition of excellence and to set the standard for high-quality student experiences, opportunities, and achievement. The Facilities Master Plan Committee was tasked with 4 outcomes: to determine the grade configuration that best meets the needs of students, to determine future facilities needs to support 21st century learning and college and career pathways, to determine needed renovations to current facilities and future construction needs, and finally to develop new boundaries for the Abbey Grove Elementary School. The district asked for volunteers to serve on the committee at the beginning of the 2022-2023 school year. More than 60 people signed up, representing a diverse cross-section of voices from our community. There have been 6 committee meetings over the course of the year to prepare for the presentation to the Board of Education in May. A priority of the Facility Master Plan process is to maximize community participation in the work. Throughout the process, we have distributed recaps from each committee meeting via our district newsletter, website, and social media. We've also maintained an FAQ page on the website to address more than 60 community questions so far that have been posted throughout the process. In October, we issued a community survey gathering input on the community's priorities in different planning areas to guide the committee's work. And in addition to tonight's webinar, we will ask for public input on the draft boundary map and grade configuration beginning tomorrow, March 29th. The Facility Master Planning Committee spent time at the beginning of its work to develop belief statements pertaining to the areas of academics, finance, and facilities. These belief statements were used to guide the group's approach in each area. The finance belief statements were: the district is responsible for being good stewards of the community's educational investment by making financial decisions which enable educators to create adaptive learning environments for students who will need to meet the challenges of the rapidly changing world into the future. And the district is responsible for using multiple financial resources available efficiently and ethically while creating an environment that evolves and supports innovative learning and keeps its community informed throughout the process as partners. The academic belief statements were: the district is responsible for creating multiple learning environments that are innovative, flexible, and adaptable to allow for ever-changing post-secondary and career paths. The district must meet the social and emotional needs of all students, cultivating a culture to promote safety, where students thrive and all stakeholders are involved. And the district will prepare students for diverse post-secondary opportunities by providing innovative learning techniques and strategic partnerships. And finally, the facility belief statements were that the district is committed to ensuring that all facilities are inviting, safe, and equitable, will utilize space to ensure ideal class size and develop sustainable, long-term boundaries, while also providing innovative facilities that can be configured to promote optimal learning and staffing considerations. And the district is responsible for providing safe and modern facilities to maximize student experience, leveraging our existing footprint while ensuring the district infrastructure provides flexibility for future needs. One of the major components to inform the planning of needed facilities and boundaries was developing a consensus on the grade level configurations that best support student needs. Recent research indicates that building transitions, particularly for adolescents, have a negative impact on academic achievement. In addition to discussing this research, the committee spent considerable time reviewing enrollment projections for the district. Some of these findings that impacted the grade level configuration discussions included enrollment growth is projected to moderate in the coming years for the district. Instead of large increases in students, which present challenges of rapid construction to accommodate growth, the district is projected to grow at a more manageable rate of 100 to 200 students per year. With the current grade configuration of kindergarten through 5th grade, 6th through 7th grade, 8th through 9th grade, and 10th through 12th grade, the district is projected to be over capacity in the 6-7 buildings in the future, specifically at Prairie Ridge Middle School. And the imbalance of students between the north and south feeder is projected to increase. These findings led the committee to reevaluate the grade level configurations with the purpose of increasing the utilization of buildings and providing for the community's desired level of educational programming. After reviewing several options and working through an evaluation process for each, the committee recommends a district transition be made to a new grade level configuration as follows: preschool, which will remain at Terrace, kindergarten through 5th grade in elementary schools, 6th through 8th grade in middle school, and 9th through 12th grade in high school. It's important to understand that this type of transition will require several years of planning before the district is ready to implement, should the Board of Education approve this recommendation in May. For example, the grade level configuration recommendation is connected to work that the district has done to develop the beginning concepts of an innovative secondary center, which will serve as a hub for advanced career, technical, and other post-secondary preparation. This hub will draw students from both feeders, allowing space for 9th grade students to attend the high schools. In order to open this hub prior to a grade level configuration change, several years of curriculum and program design need to take place, in addition to other facilities work to accommodate that shift. At this time, the district plans to maintain all 4 middle school buildings, even with a change in grade configurations, to maintain the current feeder system transitions. After determining a recommendation for grade level configuration, the committee was able to begin its work on elementary boundaries. This work began with a deeper understanding of our current boundary map, its current demographics, and the projections for elementary capacity over the next 5 years. This map shows the current elementary boundaries, which it's important to understand will continue for next school year, the 23-24 school year. The committee evaluated enrollment projection data during the process of designing new boundaries for 24-25. There are significant challenges at many of our elementary schools, which is why the district is building a new school on the northwest side of Ankeny. The committee also noted that the enrollment and capacity projections impacting Southeast Elementary and wanted to dig into potential solutions to support that building. Through several meetings, the committee reviewed and revised a proposed new elementary boundary map in response to these projections. This map is the 3rd draft after committee review of proposed elementary boundaries, again for the 24-25 school year. We will walk through this map and why this is where the committee landed. But we're also seeking public input on this draft of the map to make any final changes before the final recommendation goes to the Board of Education in May. You may notice that the changes proposed primarily change the boundaries for Westwood, Ashland Ridge, and Rock Creek Elementaries. However, you will also notice that areas east of Interstate 35 have been added to the Heritage Elementary to plan for growth in these areas. Currently, there are very few students in these areas. I'm going to ask Rob Schwartz from RSP to discuss some details of the map.
Good evening. So as we look at this map, I'm going to work from the west side where Abbey Grove is, and we'll move our way east. But I wanted everyone to understand in some greater detail some of the things that Darren was indicating is happening on this map, so you understand why all of these changes are occurring. There's basically 6 puzzle pieces that we've been trying to work with. The first puzzle piece is there's too many students at Westwood, Rock Creek, and Ashland Ridge. The second piece is that our building locations, new residential developments, and student locations sometimes create challenges to locate students to the nearest school building. The third piece is that Northeast Elementary School is very full and has no space to be able to alleviate either Ashland Ridge or Rock Creek. The fourth puzzle piece was known as to what extent future students are in correlation to current students as we establish any of these future boundaries. The fifth puzzle piece is the growth that's anticipated in the southeast elementary boundary. And the sixth puzzle piece is planning for the future grade configuration in high school innovation spaces. So with those 6 puzzle pieces in mind, what we started to establish is this draft concept, the third iteration, that establishes the following elements, starting with the orange areas, that is Abbey Grove. We created an area that is basically west of Weigel Drive, and it comes up to the trail, comes down to the trail, and then up Urbandale. So that creates the break of taking and alleviating Ashland Ridge and Westwood. So the areas of Westwood that are west of Weigel Drive would now be at Abbey Grove in the 24-25 school year. When we get up to Rock Creek, there was a lot of conversation about how close some of the residential developments are to Rock Creek south of 36th Street. And so basically at about 31st Street, where you see the break between the green and the pink, is where Rock Creek is alleviated to pull students into Ashland Ridge. Then as we move to the east side of 35 to be able to alleviate southeast in 3 to 5 years, this blue area that goes to Heritage are the new developments that are around the Deer Creek Elementary area. So that is the synopsis of what you're seeing on your map for elementary buildings.
Thank you, Rob. And we'll have an opportunity to ask detailed questions of Rob here later in the meeting tonight. So to follow up on what Rob has shared, some of the things that our committee discussed that we would like to point out tonight was prioritizing attempts to keep neighborhoods intact and ensure that areas very near to an elementary school attend that elementary school. This particularly came into discussion when looking at that boundary line between Ashland Ridge and Rock Creek elementaries. The committee also spent time considering Northeast elementary boundaries. And as you will see in the next slide, there are still a few years where they are projected to technically be over the ideal capacity of that school. Some of the changes that seemed to make the most sense were ultimately not considered feasible because those changes would put too much enrollment pressure on surrounding schools. For example, the population near the golf course up along I-35 has too many students in it to move that area to Rock Creek without creating enrollment constraints at Rock Creek, although when you first look at the map, that seems like it would make sense. Additionally, many of our schools have operated slightly over that ideal capacity for a number of years without significant impact. Those of you who have had students who have attended Ashland Ridge Elementary can attest to this. Noting that Northeast capacity is only projected to be slightly over for a couple of years, the committee felt confident that we can address those concerns without making more significant changes to the boundary map. Finally, as the committee evaluated the rising enrollment projections at Southeast Elementary and the potential solutions to this growing concern, it began to consider some changes that would very minimally impact current students served while positioning the South feeder for boundary continuity. And as Rob pointed out, these areas are in that light blue aqua color that are either not yet developed or soon to be developed. That, however, are projected to become the home of many of our students. However, since those houses are yet to be built, changing the boundaries now will not impact those families and will allow for future planning for families who do choose to move there. Enrollment projections based on the draft boundary proposal show that most of the capacity concerns that we saw a couple of slides ago are remedied by the new draft, while also minimizing the number of students and families who are impacted by the boundary change. You will also see the 2-year increase in enrollment at Northeast the committee evaluated as discussed on the previous slide. The committee also took school demographics into consideration when providing feedback on these concepts. The draft proposal minimizes demographic shifts within our schools, as well as minimizing the number of students who are ultimately impacted by the boundary change. RSP used the projected number of housing units in the enrollment projections for each school. The chart on the lower left of the slide shows the number of current students impacted by the boundary change. We feel this draft map aligns to the boundary criteria to the best degree available at this time. As stated earlier, the committee is seeking community input on this draft map. After listening to this presentation and considering the items of committee discussion, if you have lingering questions about other options that could position the district for long-term success, we invite you to provide that feedback for consideration. Later on in this presentation, we will discuss how you can go about providing that feedback, but also feel free to take time now and put those questions in the Q&A box for us to discuss tonight. One of the things the committee has discussed throughout the year is the future facility needs of the district and its impact on the decisions in front of us today. We are fortunate to live in a dynamic community that continues to attract new families to the city and new students to the schools. The continued growth, however, will require the district to continue to evaluate facility needs. The facilities master plan components are intended to extend the time period between boundary changes as long as possible. To accomplish that goal, there are some facility considerations to keep in mind as we make decisions. As stated earlier, recent enrollment projections indicate that while 5 to 10 years ago, the district was growing by up to 500 students a year, we are seeing smaller rates of increase at this time and for the foreseeable future. In addition to increasing at a slower rate, the projections indicate that the grade level size has become more consistent. In the past, we often had elementary grades significantly larger than secondary grades. Now, those numbers are more similar. These data indicated to our demographer that a third comprehensive high school would not likely be needed in the foreseeable future for the district. At the same time as we were examining the enrollment data, we were engaged in the strategic planning process, and our strategic plan points to a need for students to engage in a variety of authentic career exploration experiences each year, and that pre-K through 12 learning experiences will provide students with the opportunity to engage in self-initiated and student-driven learning. An innovative secondary hub allows the district to provide these opportunities with efficiencies in the academic, financial, and facilities domains. As we consider the known facility needs in our near future for grade level configuration change and the district's goal to prepare students for success after their pre-K-12 experience, the largest question to consider became, how do we accommodate our 9th grade students at the high schools to advance our post-secondary academic preparation? The key component in this, as we've discussed throughout the night tonight, is the innovative secondary hub. As we've said before, this hub will draw students from both feeders, allowing space for 9th grade students to attend the high schools. The addition of this hub will allow Ankeny to remain a 2 high school feeder system well into the future, meaning at this time, the district does not foresee the need to plan for a 3rd comprehensive high school. Once the facilities master plan is approved, the district will continue to engage the community in planning conversations for the innovative secondary hub, as well as other needed renovations, the boundaries for the 6th through 8th grade buildings, and any needed changes in the feeder line that may be needed to maintain a better balance between feeders. We will also continue to investigate new programming that will ensure that all Ankeny students achieve the mission of engaging all students in an educational experience that equips them with the skills to flourish in and contribute to an ever-changing world. The design thinking to create that type of program has been discussed by a group that met in parallel to the Facilities Master Plan Committee and was led by one of our panelists tonight, Jesse Dirks. The Innovative Secondary Committee consisted of community, district, and industry stakeholders and developed the initial design of what an innovative secondary hub might be. They established essential elements that the hub should achieve with goals of being relevant, expansive and exploratory, deeply rooted in community partnerships, and accessible to all students. At this point, you may be wondering what exactly the hub might be like. While the curriculum and building design have yet to be completed and will begin following the approval of the facility master plan, what we envision for it right now is a hub that allows the district to expand on existing programs such as Orbis, career and technical education courses such as our automotive and construction fields, greater opportunities for partnership with junior achievement, and more. We also see it being a space that allows the district to add and expand programs to strengthen our post-secondary preparation for all students. For example, in highly technical areas such as health sciences, engineering, or electrical and plumbing, centralizing programs into one space allows us to more efficiently provide the most up-to-date, specialized equipment, as well as partner with industry experts in the delivery of curriculum and on-site learning experiences. The possibilities continue to grow from there, and we look forward to engaging in a process to design a hub that will maintain Ankeny's reputation as a pioneer in education. A lot of work has gone into this process, but we are by no means done yet. Starting tomorrow, the grade level configuration proposal and the elementary boundary proposal will be posted on the district website and distributed via email to all parents and staff with an opportunity for the community to provide feedback through April 7th. RSP and the district will use this feedback to plan for the final committee meeting on April 24th, where they will establish their final recommendations. These recommendations will be presented during a work session to the Ankeny Board of Education on May 1st, and the board will make its final vote on the superintendent's recommendation at the May 15th meeting. At this time, we want to transition to give you all an opportunity to ask questions about this process or what the next steps might be. I will turn the presentation over to our superintendent, Dr. Eric Pruitt, to engage us in this next part of the conversation.
Thank you, Darren, for sharing the process that was followed to get the recommendations that we have today. This next portion will be our live community question and answer. But before we begin, I want to briefly introduce the panelists who have joined me tonight. In addition to Dr. Hawk, Rob Schwartz with RSP, we have with us tonight Director Ryan Weldon, President of the Ankeny Board of Education. Ryan is representing the Board of Education, but has also served on the Facility Master Plan Committee and has Dr. Jen Lindeman. Jen is our Assistant Superintendent overseeing academic services. I can speak current academic programming as well as future plans for our students and district. Tim Simpkins, our Director of Operations, who oversees our maintenance and construction within the district. Phil will speak to us about construction planning, what is possible for renovations or additions on his current means and what it takes to maintain our current buildings. Jennifer Jameson, our Chief Financial Officer and Board Secretary. Jennifer can speak to the financial planning necessary for these plans and what monies are available for these endeavors. And finally, Jessica Dirks, who is our Chief Officer of Legal Affairs and Strategic Initiatives. Jessie facilitated the strategic planning process that we engaged in last year, as well as she led the Innovative Secondary Planning Committee to help define the goals the Innovative Secondary Hub will achieve moving into the future. So we received a lot of questions, and so I'm going to dig into the questions, and I'll be directing those questions to.
And so the question I asked Darren was, why did the district choose to engage in this process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, this process came about as an outcome from the strategic plan work that the district engaged in last year, knowing that in order to accomplish the academic goals that we had established for our students, we really needed to have a comprehensive look at what our schools were going to look like moving forward so that we were able to offer those innovative programs and set our students up for success.
Thank you. And this question goes to Jennifer Jameson. When we think about some of the construction that may be necessary due to the grade level changes, how will that impact our community's taxes?
Thank you. That's a great question. Well, the facilities pieces of the facility master plan haven't yet been finalized. However, our current board policy requires, to the extent possible, that the district will first utilize the 1 cent sales tax revenue to construct or renovate school facilities before taking bond referendums to the community. A couple recent examples of projects funded with the statewide penny sales tax that you might be familiar with are the high school additions at both of our high schools and the current Abbey Grove Elementary School.
Thank you. Rob, we shared a map of a proposed boundary. What were the considerations or criteria that you look at in order to make those boundary recommendations?
Excellent question again. So in the past, with some of the boundary reconfigurations we have accomplished with the district, there's boundary criteria. And the most latest information that we're using for our baseline of metrics to determine is this a good concept is contiguous boundaries. So trying to have compact areas, demographic considerations that we'll get into specifics of type of housing, ethnicity, free and reduced lunch, duration of boundaries to have these boundaries last as long as possible, neighborhoods intact. So when we drill down into small areas, it could be an apartment complex, single family development, mobile home park, having those neighborhoods go cohesively to an elementary, a middle school, and high school, and then of course balancing enrollments. I also want to bring to everyone's attention that some of the criteria that we use, even beyond these 5 that I've listed off, may be in conflict with each other. And so, for example, if we want duration of boundaries, it may result in having more students in this current change impacted than if we did a smaller boundary change where the boundary would only last a short duration.
Thank you, Rob. Jesse, when we talk about the Innovative Secondary Hub, will the programming be more vocational, or are we thinking bigger and more creative than just vocational? Will the classes that are required for graduation also be offered, and will this be the homeschool for those students?
So many great questions. I think the answer to will this be bigger and more creative is always yes. It will be bigger and more creative. We are thinking about this hub in such a way where we would easily draw students from both of their home schools. So if you think about our 2 high schools now, those would remain sort of the home base of all of our high school students. And then we would offer a wide array of post-secondary courses in this hub. We would look at the data we have available. We would continue to work with our community to identify what are those types of post-secondary experiences, vocational associate's degrees, engineering, cybersecurity, health and medicine, a wide array of things that are really attractive to our students and really needed by our workforce. And then set up those programs there so students could come together from across our two primary high schools in the district to engage in those really rich, innovative, community designed experiences.
Thank you. Tim, when we think about the potential of the board voting for the grade level configuration that was recommended, what would be the impact on construction at the new high schools and potentially for this innovative secondary hub?
Well, once we decided on what we were doing for the innovative hub, we'd have to see how many students would pull from the high schools. The real impact on the elementaries and the 4 middle schools would be very minimal. And once we go to the put the ninth graders back in the high school, we would have to sit down as a district and analyze how many kids would be at the innovative center and what we would need to do at the high schools to welcome in those ninth graders.
Thank you. Director Weldon, I didn't forget you. And so for the district and the board and administration, how will administration and the board work together to determine when the north-south boundary line should be changed and if it should be changed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe, we would follow the same process that we've kind of followed for this facility master plan. That the future is unknown. We've widely seen a lot of changes happen in the last since I've been elected the last 4 years, and so I think the process that we would follow is we would obviously look at the projections that we have right now, and then watch as the community grows and changes. And I don't know if there's a magic number, but we definitely need to make sure that we're transparent with the community about when and how the process works. And we obviously solicit community feedback, and I'm sure we would follow the same type of process with committees and surveys and things like that. But we would definitely be sure to have everybody involved.
Thank you. And Rob, I'm going to tag you in. Similar question with regards to the north-south feeder and potentially changing that boundary line. You talked about the growth around Deer Creek and east of I-35. And so, what criteria would you be looking at as you make recommendations to me and the board around those considerations around the north-south feeder in the future?
Wonderful question. And there's a myriad of options or data that could help support why you make that change. Much of the conversation over the last couple of years has been, do we want to have balanced high schools, and how much out of balance does that occur? So I think that's the first criteria that we'd be looking at, is where there's a significant imbalance. Some of that can be headed off by the number of students that are in the pipeline in each of those feeders down at the middle school level. So that would be one catalyst. The other is development and trying to maybe position where we have our predominant 2 growth areas in the Deer Creek area, and then up by Rock Creek and Abbey Grove, maybe having that situated where we have balance there. That would be one of those other variables. So really getting into new product versus our existing product, and how the new product that comes online will generate more students. Those would be the...
Thank you. Darren, this question is for you. When we look at our current capacity in our high schools, how close are they to being at capacity? And then how many students will need to attend the Innovative Secondary Hub?
That's a great question. We recently completed additions at both of our high schools that take their capacity up to over 1,800 students. And so right now, both high schools are between 1,400 and 1,500 students, so there's certainly some room for additional students in those buildings as they are right now. When we start thinking about what that innovative hub looks like, the types of courses there, and the amount of time that students might spend there, we're hoping that several hundred students at any given time from both buildings may be attending that hub, which will open up additional space within our comprehensive high schools, which should allow them to have plenty of space for all students, even with the grade configuration change.
And then Jesse, what will we do to ensure that we're able to get students and families interested in the Innovative Hub? And will this be their home school?
Yep, great question. So I think one thing we will do is we will call upon all the people who are listening to this webinar, who are going to visit our website, who are already aware of this hub and the planning process, to help us talk it up in the community as we bring in additional business partners, nonprofit partners, higher ed partners. We're going to have a full community working together to make this something that we want, and I think spread the word and get the whole community, including our students, excited about it. We will also look at the data. As we think about the kind of programming that we want to have in that hub, we will look at those areas where we have lots of student enrollment in classes, maybe even classes where we don't currently have enough seats or enough space to offer them in one school or in two schools. And we'll prioritize building out those kinds of classes in this new hub because we know that there will be natural draws of students from those programs. So your second question, will this be their home school? No. We are currently thinking about this hub as a place where students from across our two homes high schools will come to engage in some of this more technical, post-secondary related activity, similar to if we think about like our Orbis program now and how students might go from their home school to work together with students from other buildings on specialized projects.
One more question, Jesse. With the work that you engaged in with the Innovative Secondary Committee, what models are we considering, and what should our families and students expect with regards to what this might look like moving into the future?
You bet. So I hope the model that we come up with that falls within the parameters that the group has outlined is unique. It is the Ankeny model because it is designed by our people, our community, our staff, our students, our business leaders. I will tell you that during that process, our group had an opportunity to look at some, I would say maybe similar but not identical models to what we have in mind, both from Iowa and from across the country. So models that I don't think will be exactly like ours, but that people might be familiar with, that exist in Iowa would be something like a central academy, right? Where kids come from a variety of schools, come together to do some of that more specialized technical training. But we looked at programs in Massachusetts, in Florida, and Ohio, and California. We're really excited to have won from the Governor's STEM Council, STEM Best Council, an award to spend a year of planning and exploring other models so we really can take a look at what exists out there in the world, what might we want to steal from another model that exists out there, and what might we want to create from scratch so we have something that's truly unique and truly Ankeny.
And so to our audience, we've shared a lot of information with regards to grade level configuration, boundaries, innovative secondary hub. And one of the questions that we've received is, what's the projected timeline? This question is for you, Darren. What's the projected timeline to implement these different phases around grade level configuration, innovative secondary school boundaries moving into the future, once the board, or if the board approves these recommendations?
Yeah, it's a great question. What we know for sure is that we are going to open Abbey Grove Elementary School in the fall of 2024. So the elementary boundary change will take effect in August of 2024. like Jesse just spoke to, the most important thing as far as our grade configuration and that innovative secondary hub will be, once the board approves the roadmap, the plan, is to really engage in that design process, because we need to know what it is that we're building, what it needs to look like, what those facilities need to provide, so that we can then engage architects in the design of that, and then begin the process of bidding that project and doing the renovation or construction that will be necessary. And so that timeline will really drive a lot of the other changes that we're talking about here, because again, in order to allow for that 9th grade to come back into our comprehensive high schools, we need to ensure that we have adequate space between those comprehensive high schools and the secondary hub in order to accomplish that.
Another boundary question for you, Darren. So once the boundaries are finalized, would it be possible for families to remain at their current school until their student exits 5th grade?
That is a really important question, and it is something that Rob and I have discussed a lot, and we've discussed with the committee. That is a component that we certainly want to look at. We need to land on where the final proposal of the boundaries is going to be, and then run the enrollment projections for those schools to ensure that we're able, if we are able to accommodate that. But that is definitely an area that we are discussing, and obviously we always want to try to minimize the impact on families when we're changing boundaries as much as possible.
Thank you. Tim, this is a question for you. You and I've had a few conversations around location. We're not going to discuss property, but is there a physical location determined for the innovative secondary hub?
No, we have not determined a physical location for the secondary hub at this time.
And so for, again, for our viewers, the timeline is going to be dictated based off of what's approved by the board. We've committed administratively that once we have a determination from the board, that moving forward over the summer and into the fall, we know for a fact that we'll have boundaries for our elementary schools, specifically for Abbey Grove, and to relieve pressure at Southeast and East. But then also we'll again engage our community around looking at future boundaries if our middle school recommendation and high school recommendations are accepted, to look at what those boundaries should look like for our 4 middle schools, which would be 6th through 8th grade. And then also working with our community to look at, again, the models that we'll be recommending for the innovative secondary school. Jesse, this question is for you. What's the plan if several hundred students don't choose to attend these specialized classes in the innovative secondary campus? Have the students been surveyed about their possible interest?
Yeah, again, a great question. I feel like a broken record saying that. So a couple of things. I think optimistically, perhaps, that we will probably have so much interest in this building that we're not going to need to cross that bridge. However, the great thing about this being the kind of experience that lives within our district is that we will have the opportunity to think about the programming that is there, right? And we will be able to, with the exception of some kinds of classrooms that might require specialized equipment, to decide year upon year, are there programs where students have expressed great interest that we may want to have be in that innovative hub, both so we can continue to build those programs, and so we are pulling the right number of students from those home base comprehensive high schools to create the sort of give in those buildings that you've heard Darren and Tim talk about tonight. We have surveyed our students on a number of issues related to, but not directly related to, the Innovative Hub. We did a lot of that during the strategic planning process and when we were developing the graduate profile, our students told us overwhelmingly that they wanted more experiences that would help them feel prepared for life after high school. And so I think that's a really good start. And as we continue to figure out what is the sort of programming that's going to be in this building year upon year, we will certainly continue to ask our students, to ask their parents, to ask the future employees and the employers in the community, what needs to be in that building so we can have the right draw and have the right kind of programming that our kids and our communities need.
And I'd also like to add that we currently have approximately 250 students currently in Orbis. This is where this innovative secondary hub will be able to accommodate our Orbis students. So that's 250 students there. We also have students that are currently engaged in our CTE programs, both at Ankeny and at Centennial. And this past January, our school board approved a partnership with the Junior Achievement, which we're looking to expand, and that could also be connected to the Innovative Secondary Hub. And so I think that we currently already have interest that is expressed in our individual high schools. This will be a way for us to consolidate a lot of our resources and be more efficient with the resources that we currently have. This question is for Ryan. You and I have participated in a lot of community meetings, specifically talking about the need for trades, ensuring that our kids are post-secondary ready and have post-secondary plans. What have you heard from the community with regards to, and from your seat on the board, around what our community is looking for, and how this plan and what you've learned from the facilities master plan fits into that plan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the needs are a little wider ranging than what most people might think. I've definitely heard about the trades. That's something that I think we're always in need of, more skilled labor, and also as it relates to the future of what the workplace looks like. A lot of obviously we're close to Iowa State, a lot of engineering, a lot of technical, which computers also, when you're working with those types of things, you need very strong math skills. You need to be able to think on your feet. So I think the needs of the community are best met by a system that is focusing on the skills that meet a diverse range of needs and allow students to be agile in the workplace. And so I think that there's from what I'm hearing, really focusing on those things that we're focused on and that we are continuing to talk about being focused on is really a strong direction to go, and will really help prepare students for that post-secondary readiness, regardless of what the new industry will be, in a few years.
Thank you. Jen, this is for you, Dr. Lindeman. While our audience appreciates the importance of STEM programs and potential medical and trade fields, what about the arts and humanities? Where does that fit into the future programming and opportunities for our students?
Certainly, the arts and humanities have always been an integral part of education in Ankeny, and those will continue to be an integral part in our students' options, especially as they move into those upper secondary levels. I think what's important to remember is that in addition to expanding our opportunities in those post-secondary career pathways, at the same time, we will be building out both on-site and online options for student courses, and that creates some flexibility in the student day. Certainly it creates flexibility for those students who may want to engage in an internship opportunity that takes a larger chunk of their day, but it also creates opportunities for students who want a wide variety of experiences in their high school career that includes specializing in the fine arts. Let's say a student who's very interested in vocal music can certainly participate to the fullest extent possible, while also perhaps engaging in an internship if we can provide flexible ways for them to go about getting those critical core components to their education, the graduation requirements, you might say. So I think that it will continue to be a very large part of our education for students. We have a number of students who those fine arts and certainly humanities will be a part of their post-secondary plan. That would be another element to this process that I would want to mention. It's a part of our strategic plan that every 6 through 12 student will have a post-secondary plan that of course will be flexible throughout their high school career. But through that planning process, we want to provide students with lots of different experiences to explore career pathways so that ultimately as they get closer and closer to the end of their time with us and the beginning of their time post-secondary, they have a clear vision for where they might want to step. And of course, back to the fine arts and humanities, that may well be into one of the lanes related to fine arts and humanities.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lindeman. And so this question will be for Darren. So Darren, will there be an example of the middle school boundary made available before May to the public?
That's a really great question. I'm sure one that's weighing on the minds of a lot of people watching this tonight. We talked earlier tonight about the 4 main outcomes of the facility master plan at this point right now. And what we really want to make sure that we do is when we go to major decisions like that, that we give the community, parents, and our district officials the opportunity to really engage in data analysis so that we make the best decision possible for that. So if the board approves a facility master plan in May, one of the next steps for us is to pull together a team to look specifically at what those middle school boundaries will look like.
And so to our viewers, this is I've gotten my 5-minute warning. And so I'm going to give our panelists an opportunity to share anything that they don't believe that they had an opportunity to share, that they believe that you need to know respective to their role in the district. However, we're going to work through all the questions that were submitted, and we'll be building an FAQ that will be made available on our website this week. And so I'm based off of your position on my screen, I'm going to start with Darren. You're the lucky winner. And so Darren, in your position as assistant superintendent and supporting our operations and facilities, what is it that you haven't been able to share that you would like our viewers to know?
Yeah, I want to start by thanking the over 60 members of our community that have dedicated significant amounts of time over the last 6, 7, 8 months to doing this great work. I'm very appreciative of their input and their efforts and their willingness to show up and really just get into the details of this work in an effort to provide the best possible plan for our community. And I also want to thank our partners at RSP for their work in providing us data that we can use so we can make good decisions. And I think hopefully this came through in my presentation earlier, but I just want to express how excited I am for the future for Ankeny schools with the work that we're doing and what we're going to be able to offer our students moving into the future because of all of this work and planning that we've done here this year and last year with the strategic plan as well.
Thank you. Director Weldon, any final thoughts?
I just really appreciate being a part of the Facility Master Planning Committee, where, in a time of growth and ambiguity, we've looked at so many options and considered so many different things. And sometimes it's difficult when you're seeing those things to maybe think that it's set in stone or that's what's going to happen or that's what's going to be the final say. And I think what we're trying to say here tonight is we still need some feedback and we still need the community to engage. And so I would just say on behalf of the board, we're just so thankful for the community and being engaged in this process. And we just encourage you to keep doing that by filling out the public input form after the meeting.
Dr. Lindeman?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to share the vision we have for the future of our students' education. We're very excited about what is ahead for our students and our ability to expand and strengthen our academic program in support of student post-secondary success. And this master facility plan provides us that opportunity through creating space that allows us to create those programs to be industry standard, to be highly technical, and to mirror what our students might see in a workplace, and also to partner even more so with members across our community, our corporate partners, industry partners, and really give our students an opportunity to step into the workplace during their developmental years and really make decisions based on what their experiences have been telling them. So we're excited about the future for our students. We stay tuned. We're already in the academic services team. We're already working on that programming, partnering with some of our industry experts to help us figure out what the curriculum pathways need to look like for our students. They're coming in and working with our students and with our staff, and we're just excited to expand that even more so across careers and across our community.
Thank you. Jesse?
It's things like the innovative secondary hub that make Ankeny Ankeny, that make us the best school district in the state, in the country. We need you. We need your ideas and we need your time as we continue to build out something truly big and bold and unlike anything that exists elsewhere. If you have ideas, if you want to get involved, if you have an idea for a way that your business, your company can get involved in helping us make this happen, find me. I want to hear those things, and that's the next phase of this work. We're really excited to build this with you.
Thank you. Rob?
Yeah, just quickly, I want to thank the committee for their critical thinking and their ability to allow us to use data to drive some of these decisions. We look forward to this next meeting, taking this inputs and integrating it into what this final solution could be for the board to approve later this year. Thank you.
Tim?
I'd just like to touch base on the fact that every student in Ankeny Community School District has the same experience, no matter if you're in a building built in 1960, if you're a building built in 2024. And we've done a comprehensive facility audit twice now in my tenure here, and we try to keep the motto is, how do we keep our older buildings up to speed with our new? So if you walk into any classroom in the district, in any age building, they all look the same.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I just wanted to thank the taxpayers of Ankeny Schools for their trust in allowing us to be good stewards of their resources. We have demonstrated success in proactively managing our finances to accommodate and prepare for the growth that we've experienced over the years. We've had favorable bond ratings, clean audit opinions, earning certificate of excellence for financial reporting for over 10 years. We meet or exceed our targeted financial ratios by board policy, and we've lowered the tax rate by over $5 since 2011. So just appreciate your trust in allowing us to plan for the future success of Ankeny students.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in. The public input form, I'll ask that you please complete that, and it will be available on our website with the recommended grade level configuration, along with the boundary recommendations. And you'll also be able to provide additional feedback on our website. Thank you for tuning in and have a great evening.